I'm Sarah Joliffe and I'm the Carbon Reduction Lead at BAM. BAM is a civil engineering company and a construction company based in the UK and Ireland. So suppliers should be collecting data and information on carbon from a wide range of sources. We have to collect information not only on our direct emissions but also our indirect emissions. So this includes things that may go through your business that you would deliver on behalf of others. This could include many data streams associated with liquid fuel use, energy, materials, and even so far as the transport and the embodied carbon associated with materials previous to when you procure them. So to understand your carbon data, you're going to need to go after lots of different sources of information. And typically what I like to go to is to look at transaction records. So for example, these would be the records of purchase goods and services that you'll have from your supply chain providers. It could even be meter reading records or energy information and such like. But there will be some instances where you need to assume data based on intensity metrics. So this could be an energy consumption per floor area or fuel consumption per hours of plant operation, for example. So there'll be many different sources of information that you'll need to collect. And this will mean you'll need to collaborate with your supply chain partners and everyone in the value chain to ensure that you get all of the information you need from every source of emissions that you may have. So once you've collected and identified all the sources of information and you've got your carbon data set, you're actually going to need to calculate the carbon emissions and put everything in a common data environment. Now there are a few ways of doing this. You can of course use the good old-fashioned Excel, and you can then append that to carbon factors. So these are the conversions used to collate information against, say, litres of fuel use. There would be a carbon associated with that, and there are some readily available tables that will help you do this. But actually it can be more easy to use a tool, so you can use software systems. The supply chain school actually has one, so the carbon tool actually will deal with all of that calculation for you, and all you need to do is actually enter your consumption figures of materials or fuels or energy, and that would actually make life a lot easier. Once you've established your footprint and you have your numbers, this then enables you to actually do something with it. You can then hotspot analysis, for example. You can then more easily identify those processes that generate the most amount of carbon emissions. And so this is really important as we work on the journey towards net zero carbon, because obviously we want to tackle the biggest emission sources first, as that's where we'll get the greatest savings for the lowest cost quite often. So that's one thing that you can do with the data, but also you can then use this information to help comply with various legislation. So for example, the Energy Savings and Opportunity Scheme actually requires companies to measure energy, report on it, and actually make some meaningful contribution to reducing that energy use. So having a carbon reduction plan has been very useful for BAM. It's enabled us to have a structured way to lay out exactly how we plan to tackle emissions. My main piece of advice, if you're starting out on collecting carbon information and trying to tackle your footprint, is really just to collaborate with all those businesses and individuals that would have an influence on your emissions. The Supply Chain Sustainability School also has a great wealth of resources, lots of e-learning modules, a number of webinars that go through the year, and I'd really recommend reaching out to them for further information and technical support.